Good evening, everyone. From Eastern Canada, our weekly Chaitanya Charitamrita reading and discussion from the original unedited books of unadulterated books of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Kṛṣṇa Consciousness. And it's interesting to note that Prabhupada started this movement and worked very diligently despite very little success at the beginning of his efforts. As you know, Prabhupada arrived in New York City in September 19th, 1965. And we're reading now forward into the work that he was executing in March 1966. And I wanted to mention to all of you who are attending the class on a regular basis to make sure that you do a regular listen to Prabhupada's lectures back in those days that he was personally recording. So he had this insight that the words that he was speaking, the teachings that he was presenting, were very important for other people to hear, despite the fact that only a few people were attending his classes. So if you go to, there's a site called Vani, Prabhupada Vani, on it's on the internet. If you go there and you look up classes, you'll see that in March of 66, there are a series of classes that people were attending back then, and he was recording them, and you can listen to them at Prabhupada Vani and get the direct association of Srila Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation, which is his sound incarnation, which is the basis of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam Kirtanam, to hear and to chant. And Prabhupada, I was listening to a lecture, Yashodanandana Prabhu, about his miracles. He said, I've traveled I've mentioned this before, but it sticks in my mind how valuable these lectures are. He said, I was, everywhere I go, people have said I've created all kinds of miracles. Prabhupada said, I haven't. It's created yes, there are miracles, but I haven't created any miracles. But if there's one miracle that I have done is I presented the instructions of my spiritual master and his directions without any change, without any adulteration. And this is the miracle. And should be noted that we, as disciples of Srila Prabhupada, are entrusted with that same responsibility. Very important responsibility, because the truth cannot be changed. For example, you have a particular book that you write. Well, you don't have people come and change it after you've written it. Say you win the Nobel Peace Prize for your book. You don't have the editors come later, I think we'll change the book. Naturally, you're going to have a lot of complaints from people that have the book, or for the author, if he was still around and still alive, they would complain, why are you changing? Where's the authority when you change a book? There is no authority. So this changing of the message of Srila Prabhupada is critical to the sustenance of the Krishna conscious movement And the sampradaya that we follow, the Gaudiya Brahma Sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava Brahma Sampradaya, is critical to our mission here to protect the legacy. And we are reading forward with the diary of Srila Prabhupada. Here it is here, the beginnings, like that. If you don't have a copy, I don't know if it's in print, so it may be difficult to acquire one, but nonetheless, we do have them for our reading here at these classes. And there's a lot of activity for Prabhupada as he progressed along in his efforts. Even though he had, like I said, he had very little facility, it did not seem to impede his efforts and his plans to push the Sankirtan movement on, despite the small amount of result he was getting back in March of 1966. So this is important because we're seeing how a great person, actually the representative of Kṛṣṇa, acted in order to carry out the mission of his spiritual master. And this we can learn from as devotees, how to act moving forward in our own lives. And we'll go now to the reading of the diary, and we're at the highlights for March. So there's quite a few things to do Prabhupada has written down, and so we'll read through them and you can get an idea. And then in the following classes, we'll read the specific details and see it. So he has it divided into books, classes and kirtans, and letters and contacts. So a lot of work went on. On the 4th of March, the income was $9, contribution in books. On the 7th, the collection made out of contribution in books, was $28. On the 9th, Larry Bogart returned books for Mr. Lachlan to examine. Went to Paragon. That was where he was storing books. Paragon had received 35 sets up to date. I've taken back 15 sets, 20 sets remains with them. So he's taken them out of the storage because he's using them to distribute from his place in New York. Income by contributions of books was $13 on the 10th. One set of books left with New Direction book, 333 6th Avenue. On the 11th, went to Paragon Books, corrected error in stock. 15th, requested loan to pick up books from Paragon. She agreed to do it. Requested Joan, sorry. On the 16th, Joan was kind enough to get my books, 16 sets from Paragon Book Gallery. The books are brought and kept in stock. On the 18th, letter from Chandra Shekhar. There is some good sales of Bhagavatam. He reports, sent letter to Library of Congress asking for the library card number of my Srimad Bhagavatam. Here, I'm just going to show you everyone here. This is a reproduction of the original Bhagavatam that we're talking about. This particular version, and it's quite interesting. It's how it's written, how it's so pure and unadulterated. Today, when I came back from Dr. Mishra's apartment on the 26th at 1 p.m., I saw the window of the door broken, and entering the door, I saw my tape recorder, typewriter, and book bags stolen. Wow. On the 29th, Robert brought me an old typewriter. Income was one set of books sold and $16.80 check. And notice there's no emotion in or reaction to being robbed. He's just simply stating the fact. On the 30th, Mr. Peter Blaine handed over to me one German machine, bold type. Classes and kirtans. On the 3rd, Ekadasi observed in the evening, only 2 visitors came. There were some topics on the meditation, yoga, and income contribution was $1. Dr. Mishra wanted my kirtan in his meetings. I am considering. So, by the way, you can hear that lecture on Prabhupada Vani. It's recorded by him and very, very inspiring. On the 5th at 2 o'clock, went to the Ananda Ashram Kirtan, was performed in the evening, very much appreciated. They didn't let him speak, by the way. On the 6th, whole day passed at Monroe. Ashram in the morning, there was Kirtan, returned from Monroe at 6 p.m. Talked with Mr. Majid of Tehran, Iran, took lesson for more than 1.5 hours. Today is Adivas Day of Gaur Purnima. Devotees of Vrindavan and Navadvip are enjoying the celebration. I've come here to serve the Lord and not for personal happiness. On the 7th, Lord Chaitanya's birthday, fasting observed till 5:30 p.m. 7 ladies and a gentleman attended today's meeting. There were topics on Gita and Kirtan. Meetings on the 9th held from 7 to 9:30 p.m. 8 members attended the lecture on Gita and Kirtan. On the 10th, Kirtan performed at Studio. Yolanda, 2 other ladies, and another gentleman came. On the 12th, I was go to Monroe, but Yolanda did not go, so I could not go there. Food made for Dr. Mishra was partly distributed to Cohen and Yolanda. Cohen preparing to go to California, 1 half tape recorder prepared for him. He assured maintenance of rent for my room. So on the 13th in the evening, 2 ladies and Mr. Sussman came. There were some discussions. One of the ladies brought bread for me. 15th in the evening, 5 ladies and a gentleman visited. There was some talks. And on the 16th in the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was 3 only. Income was $3 only by contribution. Everybody gave $1. On the 16th in the evening, 2 ladies and 1 gentleman, Mr. Tony, came to see me. There were some discussions. Tonight, on the 18th, 5 ladies and a gentleman attended the meeting at 7 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. in 15-minute talks, kirtan and lecture on Bhagavad Gita, performed. Income by contribution, $4. The 19th, I prepared on a tape recorder Chintamani, and you probably heard that. There's those recordings. There's a lot of early recordings, and I was listening to them as well during the week. And it's just absolutely stunning how beautiful these kirtans and bhajans are by Srila Prabhupada. And they're right back in those days. So it's just put you back in time. So on the 20th, some 4 gentlemen and ladies came to see me. We walked for some time. On the 21st, I distributed prasadam to all at Dr. Mishra's apartment. In the evening, there was a meeting. 5 ladies and a gentleman attended. Gita explained about individuality of living entities. On the 22nd in the evening, 2 gentlemen and a lady came, discussed for some time. Prabhupada's having meetings every day. Today's meeting, 2 gentlemen on the 23rd attended. On 24th, Captain Pandya and Mrs. Pandya came to see me. 3 ladies and 3 gentlemen besides the captain and his wife attended the meeting. Mr. Robert brought some fruits and grains for me. On the 25th, a meeting in the evening, 7 ladies and a gentleman attended. Captain and Mr. Pandya also were there. Income, $22. Everyone brought some fruits and grains, and there were 2 newcomers. Addresses were taken. On the 27th, I spent the night at Studio 501. One Mr. Howard of 71st Street became acquainted with me. He appears to be a good friend. On the 28th, there was a meeting in the evening. 5 ladies and gentlemen attended. Bhagavad Gita discussed. On the 29th, went to see the loft of Mr. Paul. Can be utilized for meetings and Sankirtan purposes nicely. That's in the Bowery. In the evening on the 30th, a meeting was held and 7 attended. Sussman and Paul came Friday, April 1st, to take me to the loft. Only 2 persons came today to meet me. Letters and contacts. On the 1st, they saw an Indian office for extension of passport, saw Mr. L.L. Malhotra, saw Mr. Bogart, later from Secretary of India, Prime Minister. Disappointing. Letter from Universal Book, not encouraging. On the 2nd, Mr. L.L. Malhotra for renewal of passport after June 1966 referred to New Delhi for confirmation to be reviewed at least 1 more year. And letter to Chandrasekhar to help to expedite passport. Letter to Boyd Compton of Rockefeller Foundation asking him exchange cooperation. On the 5th, the letter to the Secretary of the Salvation Army on 14th Street West for exchange. On the 8th, one letter received from Atma Singh, Jursa Singh, not willing to hand over Seva Puja to Goshen, nor build a temple in New York. So all kinds of turn downs and rejections. Larry Bogart contacted. Robert brought some fruits and dal. On the 9th, went to see the Nepalese ambassador. He was not present, so I left, saw Larry Bogart. On the 10th, letter from Vrindavan, India, letter from the Library Bureau. And on the 11th, amazing work, letter to Tirtha Maharaj, replied to his letter of the 22nd of February, 66. Letter sent to Mrs. Sally Agarwal in reply to her letter 6366. 14th, a letter from Chandrasekhar. It will take some time to renew the passport visa renewed up to June 30th, 1966. So very meticulous about his business. 17th, letter from Salvation Army Finance Secretary. At once went to see him. He is favorable by the grace of the Lord and has agreed to accept at $4 exchange. He is writing for confirmation. On the 18th, letter from Chandrasekhar. He encourages to stay in America at least for 3 years. God bless him. He reports some good sales of Srimad Bhagavatam. Letter to Sri Padmapat Singhina and to Srimati Sumati Marajji. That's the founder of India Steamship Company that Prabhupada traveled on her boat. 21st, one invitation from Dr. Mishra received for attending lectures of Indira Gandhi on the 1st of April. If somebody takes me, then I shall go. 22nd, letter from the mayor's office of New York City. And one from United States Navigation regarding Jaladuta, letter sent to United States Navigation. On the 23rd, a letter to the mayor's office informed that I shall want to see Mr. Lindsay till he is free to talk with me. A letter to Library of Congress asking for the library card number of my Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's having it registered in America. SS Jaladuta on the 24th is in New York Port. Could not contact Mr. Forrester by phone. Messages left for Captain Pandya, Captain and Mrs. Pandya came to see me. I instructed them to contact Srimati Mararji about my letters. On the 25th, a letter from Vrindavan, Chandra Day, Calcutta. On the 28th, a letter from Tirtha Maharaj meeting with the landlord. He was after that. And on the 30th, letter from Rockefeller Foundation denying any help for starting the International Institution for God Consciousness. And finally, at the end of March, under letters and contacts, 30 days notice served to Miss S.N. Pletcher's landlord, a registered letter. All glories to Srila Prabhupada in his amazing efforts to launch the Krishna consciousness movement globally. We'll move forward now with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, the bhajan before class, and then we'll have the reading and discussion being led by His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu from Twainhart, California. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. Excuse me. Ah, yes.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana जय पुष्पात् परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सत्र सदस्य मौल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। रामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। स्वामीत भक्तवृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असम्बल गॉड। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असम्बल गॉड। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असम्बल गॉड। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 4. Welcome everybody to this reading and discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. As we do every week, we will be reading a few verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text 18 to 22, where there's a beautiful explanation from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami about the meaning and benefits of hearing this great, powerful literature. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text number 19. Eti na thakur gadiya ke karye chenoyatma sat. Eti nera charana vandan tine morenat. These 3 deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text number 20. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera smarane oi vigna vinashana, anayase oi nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text number 22. Simangala charanoi trivida prakar vastu nirdesha shiravada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. So this is a very important section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We see here that Kṛṣṇa Das Kaviraj Goswami, he is telling all the devotees that by engaging in this remembrance and recitation, remembrance of the Guru, Lord Chaitanya, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, then one will be able to remove all obstacles, all difficulties will be removed, and one will be able to achieve one's transcendental desires. Very important point. As we do every week, we will read a small section with regards to the transcendental benefit of hearing this great literature of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a conversation in Vrindavan on July 2nd, 1977, Srila Prabhupada room conversation with Mr. Meyer. July 2nd, 1977 in Vrindavan. Mr. Meyer, but that is his doing. He wants every village like we have planned Hyderabad. Prabhupada, yes. Mr. Meyer, he wants every village like that to be. Prabhupada, that can be done very easily. It can be done very easily, provided government wants, and we can help. We have to follow simply the Bhagavad Gita. That's all. They are reading Bhagavad Gita, but they do not follow. They manufacture their own interpretation. That is the difficulty. Otherwise, the Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of happy life and entrance, matriculation, and then Srimad Bhagavatam, graduate, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita, postgraduate. We are therefore presenting three books. So if we follow, our life is successful. But we don't follow. Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya, Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Maya is so strong that untruthful things, we take it as truthful. Very interesting. Another conversation in Vrindavan on June 27th, 1976 in New Vrindavan, a garden conversation. June 27th, 1976, Kulashekar, Srila Prabhupada. It says that the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Again, this is on June 27, 1976. Prabhupada, hear him. What does he say? Pushta Kṛṣṇa. Srimad Bhagavatam is the postgraduate study. Devotees, Chaitanya Charitamrita, postgraduate study. Kulashekara. So if we're very attracted to reading Chaitanya Charitamrita now, but we haven't finished Srimad Bhagavatam as yet, should we wait until we have studied Srimad Bhagavatam thoroughly? Prabhupada, it does not mean that one who is not postgraduate, he cannot read other books. Spiritual life is not stereotyped like that. But one who is not postgraduate, it is a little difficult for him to understand the statement of. Just like in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Na Chaitanya Krishna's Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha, that there is no superior truth than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if you have not studied Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll not understand this statement. If you understand, yes, Chaitanya is the supreme truth, then it is to be understood that you have graduated. And if you are not, then it will be difficult for you to understand. Kula Shekara. Then the more we understand Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we'll understand the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada, yes. And if you understand Bhagavatam thoroughly, then you can understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. But if you have not understood Bhagavatam, then you cannot understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. The simple statement, na Chaitanyat Kṛṣṇat paratatvam paramiha. Where is Chaitanya Charitamrita? Bring. Pushta Kṛṣṇa. Which volume, Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada, first volume. That means you are not reading. You simply are referring. This is the difficulty. Without thoroughly reading something, we bring so many questions. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore forbidden Bahu Shastra Napori. Don't bother yourself reading so many books at a time. You'll be puzzled. Find out this verse. Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi. Pushta Kṛṣṇa. I don't believe there is an index in this first volume. Prabhupada, in the first chapter, you'll find Drishtadyumna, 17th verse. What is described in the Upanishads? Prabhupada, Yadadvaitam Brahma Upanishadi. Pushta Kṛṣṇa. Yadadvaitam Brahma Upanishadi tadapi asyatanubha. Yatmantaryami Purusha iti susyam shavibhavaha. Shadeshvarye Purno Yayeha Bhagavan Satsvayamayam Nachetanyat Krishna's Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha. From Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 1:3. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as the Supersoul is but his localized plenary portion. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. Prabhupada, this is the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So will anyone be able to understand this verse? Everything is stated there. What is Chaitanya? Will everyone be able to understand it? That is the proof that he is not graduate. If he's graduate, then he should understand. Therefore, it is postgraduate. Kuladri. One must first understand Bhagavad Gita before Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada, yes. It is stated there, Yadadvaitam Brahma Upanishadi. That means he must understand the Upanishads. He must understand what is Brahman. So without understanding this, how he can understand Chaitanya Charitamrita? It will be explained there, but the fact is this. What is that? Is there any explanation? Pushta Kṛṣṇa, no, there is no purport to this verse. Prabhupada, so further on there is explanation. Find out that. Devotee, Srila Prabhupada. How does one know when he has the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada, what does he say? Answer him. Pushta Kṛṣṇa, what did you say? Devotee, how does one know when he has the understanding of Bhagavad Gita? Drishtadyumna, one has understood Bhagavad Gita who surrenders to Krishna, because Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja, Bhagavad Gita 1866, that the essence of all knowledge is to surrender unto me, to give up all other duties. So one who takes that instruction as life and soul, he has understood Bhagavad Gita. Is that all right? Pushta Kṛṣṇa. The same verse again in the second chapter. The compilers of the Upanishads speak very highly of the impersonal Brahman. The Upanishads, which are considered the most elevated portion of the Vedic literatures, are meant for persons who desire to get free from material association and who therefore approach a bona fide spiritual master for enlightenment. The prefix upa indicates that one must receive knowledge about the absolute truth from a spiritual master. One who has faith in his spiritual master actually receives transcendental instruction, and as his attachment for material life slackens, he is able to advance on the spiritual path. Knowledge of the transcendental science of the Upanishads. In this way, Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely the exalted position of this great transcendental literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll proceed with the reading. Today we'll be reading from the Adi Lila, chapter 4, text number 157, all synonyms, translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement, text 157. Apurva Madhuri Krishnera Purva Tarabal, Yahara Shravane Manahai Talamal, Apurva, unprecedented, Madhuri, sweetness, Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Apurva, unprecedented, Tara, of that, Bala, the strength, Yahara, of which, Shravane, in hearing, Mana, the mind, Haya, becomes, Talamala, unsteady. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The sweetness of Lord Krishna is unprecedented, and its strength is also unprecedented. Simply by hearing of such beauty, the mind becomes unsteady. Text 158. Krishner Madhurya Krishna Upajay Lobha Samyakasvadite Nare Manera Hekshobha. Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Madhurye, in the sweetness, Krishna, in Lord Krishna, Upajaya, arises, Lobha, eager desire, Samyak, fully, Asvadite, to taste, Nare, is not able, Mane, in the mind, Rahe, remains, Kshobha, sorrow. Translation. Lord Krishna's own beauty attracts Lord Krishna himself, but because he cannot fully enjoy it, his mind remains full of sorrow. Text 159. Etadvitiya etura kahila vivaran, tritiya eture beshunaha lakshan. This, ta, certainly, Dvitiya, second, Etura, of the reason, Kahila, has been said, Vivarana, description, Tritiya, the third, Etura, of the reason, Ebe, now, Shunaha, please hear, Lakshana, the characteristic. Translation. This is a description of his second desire. Now please listen as I describe the third. Text number 160. Atyanta nighuda rasera siddhanta, Swarup Gosai matra janera ekanta. Atyanta, extremely, nighuda, deep, this, rasera, of mellow, Siddhanta, conclusion, Swarupa Gosai, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Matra, only, Janena, knows, ekanta much. Translation: this conclusion of rasa is extremely deep. Only Swarup Damodar knows much about it. Text 161. Keba kehanya jane seho tanha eti Chaitanya gosai tenha tyanta marmaya eti Yeba whoever Keha someone Anya other Jane knows Seha he Tanha oete from him Swarupa Damodar Chaitanya Gosai of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Tenha he Atyanta extremely Marma secret core Yate since anyone who claims to know it. Translation: anyone else who claims to know it must have heard it from him, for he was the most intimate companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 162. Gopi Ganera Prebera Ruda Bhavanama Vishuddha Nirmala Prema Kabuna Hekama. Gopi Ganera of the gopis, Premera of the love, Rudha Bhava, Nama name, Vishuddha pure, Nirmala spotless, Prema love, Kabhu at any time, Nahe is not, Kama lust. Translation: the love of the gopis is called Rudha Bhava. It is pure and spotless. It is not at any time lust. Purport: as already explained, the position of the gopis in their loving dealings with Krishna is transcendental. Their emotions is called Rudha Bhava. Although it is apparently like mundane sex, one should not confuse it with mundane sexual love, for it is pure and unadulterated love of Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataha Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Saravata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Chat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In 1976, in Vrindavan at the Krishna Balaram Temple, Prabhupada gave a very nice lecture, And he commented specifically about a disciple or errant disciple who had suggested that he wanted to get the blessings of Srila Prabhupada so he could find out some other guru. So Srila Prabhupada was not exactly very pleased about that disciple's or that deviant disciple's attitude. And in one of these morning Srimad Bhagavatam classes, Prabhupada says that even if you think you know more than your guru, and Prabhupada laughed, he says, of course, that is not possible, but Prabhupada, even if you think that you know more, you should remember that our perfection is simply to understand one verse of Shastra completely, perfectly. Even if we understand one verse perfectly, that is our perfection. Now, a senior disciple of His Divine Grace went with to Prabhupada, and he asked him, of everything you have taught, what is the most important? And Srila Prabhupada quoted that verse from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Yasya devi parabhaktir yata devi tata guru tasyete katita yartaha prakashante mahatmanaha. The meaning of this, I'm going to read from a translation that Prabhupada gave in 1950s. Prabhupada says, the great souls who have implicit faith upon the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously, unto them only all the imports of Vedic knowledge becomes automatically revealed. Now, this is a very important point because we also see the next text. This was in Prabhupada's handwriting. After we finish the reading here, I will explain the context. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadikshanti jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him first, and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge because he has already known the absolute truth. Now, why this is important? In 1972, I was in Vrindavan with Guru Das Prabhu. Guru Das was a senior disciple of His Divine Grace, and he had been requested by Srila Prabhupada to go to the Radha Damodar temple on the second floor, above Srila Prabhupada's room where he was translating and cooking. There were two other rooms on a roof of the Radha Damodar temple, and Srila Prabhupada had several big trunks there. And these trunks had many of Srila Prabhupada's personal belongings from his days in Allahabad and Jhansi, from the League of Devotees, and from the days of his pharmacy in Allahabad, in Prayag. Prabhupada told Guru Das to clean the trunks out, to get rid of all the things. So Guru Das had brought me over and asked me to help him. And those trunks had so many different glass bottles and so many medical things. Prabhupada said, throw them out. But then there was another trunk with all these different books and translations that Srila Prabhupada had given. There were numerous copies of Ishopanishad, the first one that was printed on the bamboo paper, numerous translations of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, numerous Sri Ishopanishad, so many different nectarian, so many pamphlets from the League of Devotees in Jhansi and Uttar Pradesh. So we separated those literatures, and then as Prabhupada desired, many of the other glass bottles and everything else we got rid of. And as part of this project that we were doing for Srila Prabhupada, there was one sheet where Prabhupada's own handwriting of this one verse, Sampradaya Vinaye Mantraste Nishpalamataha, Yasya Devi Parabhaktiran Tad Vidhi Pranipatena. This was in Prabhupada's own handwriting. So this was quite a discovery. This was very special because we had never seen this before. So Gurudas handed it to me and said, you keep this, you can use it later, and we'll use the Ishopanishad and the easier journey to other planets and give it to other devotees. So recently, I was looking to some old boxes of documents. I found this and sent it to the Bhaktivedanta archives in North Carolina and requested, Ekanath Prabhu, do you have this? Is this something that you have? He says, no, we've never seen this. So he engaged one of the devotees there to make a proper English rendering of all of this, and this is going to be put in the archives. We're very happy that it's under control, in very safe hands. But it's very interesting when we see Srila Prabhupada's translation of that verse from Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada does not say they have seen the truth. He's not using it in plural, although from a Sanskrit grammatical perspective, upadikshanti is plural. But Srila Prabhupada chose to translate it in the singular. If we look at this, Prabhupada said, such wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge because he has already known the absolute truth. Now this relates to the beginning of all these classes. We're reading from Prabhupada's diary. Somebody recently asked me, why is it that you and Vishwakarma are spending so much time reading from this diary? Because this is called Tadiya. This is related, transcendental paraphernalia related to the pure devotee. It is non-different than his purports in Bhagavad Gita. Because what it shows is the meticulous, detailed planning, the meticulous, detailed management of everything that Prabhupada did. Whether it's noting the money spent on bus fare, whether Prabhupada is noting correspondence that he's sending out, correspondence and letters that he's getting, how he's engaging in book distribution, how he's approaching different bookstores, he's approaching different foundations, different personalities, keeping track of how many people are coming to Kirtan. Everything he was doing was documented. There was a record. Prabhupada was teaching future devotees, future followers and students, how to conduct our activities. In Los Angeles in 1968, Srila Prabhupada one time asked one devotee, what time is it? Do you have the time? And the devotees replied to Srila Prabhupada, oh, I don't know what time it is. I'm in bliss. Prabhupada told him, you're not in bliss, you're in Maya. Being a devotee means that you're Krishna conscious and you're also practical. You know what is going on around you. Not simply you're in bliss and forget everything else. This is a very important point. There's another conversation where a devotee was telling Srila Prabhupada about being transcendental, and Prabhupada interrupted, and Prabhupada says, you are not transcendental. You are trying to become transcendental. And this is a very important for any devotee who is engaged in sadhana bhakti, in regulated devotional service. One should never think that he has become liberated, that he has become very advanced, that he is on a level of Nikunjayuno or the sum total of all demigods. One should be very careful to guard himself against such thoughts. One should always remain, just like the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kṛṣṇa Das Kaviraj, has expressed in the Chaitanya Charitamrita himself, that I am the most sinful person. If somebody hears my name, they lose all pious activities. If somebody recites my name, they commit sinful activities. I'm paraphrasing here. But this amazing humility of Kṛṣṇa Das Kaviraj is the perfect example of conduct for any Vaishnava or aspiring Vaishnava. Very important point. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribo, thank you very much for that very informative information on Prabhupada's directions for us and teachings. So, and it was interesting to note that your discussion also included a breakdown of the different books that we should study progressively to become Krishna conscious. Prabhupada divided them into the high school, university, and graduate study of the literature. So the Gita is the high school level of study, step by step, and then after you thoroughly understand that, then you can move forward to the Bhagavatam, which is a detailed 18,000 verse scripture that Prabhupada translated up to the 10th canto, and then the postgraduate study of spiritual life for the modern day society. And we are very blessed because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared here 500 years ago, so we're very closely connected through Srila Prabhupada to the Sankirtan mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to deliver the conditioned souls. Now, it was interesting to note, Yashoda, and we discussed this earlier this week, Prabhupada asked this question, was asked this question in Melbourne, Australia. He asked the question, he was asked the question, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, you don't read the books? He asked the devotee, you don't read? And then he said, you can become Krishna conscious in 1 second. 1 second. Because ultimately, that is the success of a devotee who is studying these scriptures to become Krishna conscious. And it only takes 1 minute if you simply accept the fact and engage yourself accordingly in that service. And I wanted to, Prabhupada further went forward and quoted these verses from the Gita, from chapter 18, text 65 and text 66. So these two verses are very important for us to understand. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskaru, mam evashyashi satyam te, pratijane priyoshi me. Thank you. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. And we'll just read the first section of the purport here by Srila Prabhupada. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and to attain the same perfection as Arjuna. very precise direction here for all of us. How to become Krishna conscious. And text 66. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yashyami ma suchaha. And here's the further instruction. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So these words are very important for us to understand in our practice of Krishna consciousness. And because it is very difficult to understand Krishna. Prabhupada explains in a further lecture, Yashodanandana Prabhu, the reason it's difficult to understand Krishna is because we are so minute. Just think about it, Prabhus. How many billions of planets are in this material creation of Krishna? Billions. How many trillions and trillions and trillions of living entities there are? And then you have to think about yourself personally, who you are, who we are. We're 1/10,000th the tip of a hair size. Is that very significant, Madhukanta? Is it significant? No, you're minute. Yet you think by intellectual study, by going through all kinds of mechanical processes, by all different types of exercises, etc., you'll become God conscious? No, it's not going to happen. There is a formula for this understanding, and it's through the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master only. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. And we are extremely blessed, everyone, to be in this opportunity, be given this opportunity, become Krishna conscious as part of a bona fide mission to represent Prabhupada's legacy without adulteration, without change. Because it's only by the mercy of the spiritual master that anyone can make an advancement. And that should be our primary focus. You know, nowadays with the internet, it's become a colossal rumor mill, the internet. It's a very difficult world that we live in when you wander through the internet and try to learn. And you get bombarded by everything and all the time, everything about politics, everything about war, everything about disease, everything about everything that goes on in this world of illusion. And that will not invoke mercy. The mercy of the spiritual master comes when you please him. That is the only way that you can make advancement. First, the spiritual master must be bona fide, and then you have to work with all your enthusiasm and determination to please him. Do not try to act in such a way that Krishna, that you want to see Krishna. Prabhupada told us, that Bhakti Siddhanta used to teach us. Act in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. Gain his attention. And in our particular case, we want to act in such a way that Prabhupada will want to take notice of us. This we were blessed, both Yashoda and myself, and the other godbrothers, some of us who personally had association with Prabhupada in this call, that Prabhupada was pleased by some of our service, and that is our salvation, that Prabhupada blessed us with some mercy. Of course, we don't think, oh, well, we're so advanced and we got the mercy of the Guru. But the fact of the matter is, if you can please the spiritual master, that is your ticket back home, back to Godhead. And that is our business with the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society. Trust us in that. We're not here for any other motive. Why would we take this time, Madhukanta? Why do we? Because we're trying to please Prabhupada. We can't please everyone, and there'll be all kinds of people that will criticize us. There'll be all kinds of people that will give us difficulty. There's no question of that. None of us need trouble. But Prabhupada told me when we bought the Toronto temple, I was in his room, in his quarters, and he was asking me about book distribution. And I told him, well, the book distribution has declined, Prabhupada, because we have so much responsibility here at the temple. He goes, that's okay. We have to take trouble for Krishna. We have to take trouble for Krishna. This is not an option. When you're in this material world, which is full of Maya, there will be so many difficulties, just like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It wasn't easy for Arjuna, but he surrendered and he got the mercy of Krishna and he went back to Godhead. In fact, he went back to Godhead on the battlefield. Everything was revealed to him. So in this way, through the mercy of the spiritual master, everything becomes revealed. That's how you become advanced. By his mercy, no other mercy. So if you get a chance, like all of us have, to serve Prabhupada in his mission by preserving his legacy for the future of mankind, we are in the most opportune position to make advancement and go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Believe it. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
Well, this is a very important point. Srila Prabhupada has given so many different instructions in his books, in his letters, in his conversations, lectures. There's literally an ocean of information. It's like a vast library of information. So there is no lack of knowledge. There's no lack of guidance. There's no lack of information. Just like as we were discussing here, one devotee was asking a conversation about different devotees from different groups in Bangalore, Singapore, Europe, whether or not these devotees were basically disciples of Prabhupada. Yes, they are disciples of Prabhupada. In a conversation in Mayapur, India, on March 9th, 1974, devotees were discussing about different devotees in different disciplic successions in India. And Prabhupada said, well, everyone is in a bona fide disciplic succession, provided he keeps that tradition, Apani Acharya Prabhu, Jive Rishikai. One must behave that I belong to this disciplic succession. Okay. I must keep myself fit for the post. Then it is all right. If he deviates, then he deviates the disciplic succession. Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says frankly that this is disciplic succession. Amar Agnyaya. Just carry out my order. Then you are in disciplic succession. If you do not keep yourself in the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then simply by becoming disciple, you are not in the disciplic succession. This is disciplic succession. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this clearly. Amaranyaya Guruhai Tarae. Wherever you live, you become a spiritual master. How? Yare Lako Tariko Krishna Upadish, Madhya Lila 7:128. Whoever you meet, you only speak about Krishna. You only speak what Krishna has instructed. Then you are in disciplic succession. It doesn't matter what you are and where you are. It doesn't matter. This is disciplic succession. And if you think, now I'm initiated, I'm now liberated, I have no other business, then you're not in the disciplic succession. You must preach. That is disciplic succession. So this is a very important point, because many times we see people claiming, or they will accuse the devotees who follow Srila Prabhupada, many of whom are not directly, never met directly Srila Prabhupada, like Madhukanta Prabhu or Ram Raghava's parents, or so many different devotees who never physically met directly Srila Prabhupada. And people say, well, how can you be Prabhupada's disciple? By following his instruction, by worshiping Krishna, by chanting Hare Krishna, by offering the foodstuff to Krishna, by reading the books and instructions of the pure devotee of Krishna. It is not complicated. It is not difficult, but we see that some people have a very fertile imagination, just like we see sometimes on the internet, people launching different kinds of statements and accusations against other devotees. Now, of course, we here in this program are firmly of the belief that people should express themselves. They should express their convictions, their realizations, their questions. But that is not a license for outlandish accusations. While in America, they have what they call the First Amendment. That you have the right of free speech and the right of assembly and the right to practice your religious belief. Okay, that's very nice. But that is not a license to insult other persons and blaspheme and slander other devotees. This is not proper. You see, we see in the Nectar of Instruction how Srila Prabhupada has translated the Upanishamrita. And there is one instruction by Rupa Goswami of 6 different items that destroy bhakti or devotional service. And one of these things is called prajalpa. Prajalpa means gossip, innuendos, gossip. There's no need to engage in this. There's no need to manufacture different interpretations. There's no need to concoctings. That is very dangerous, and devotees should remain from it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
We have Ron Singh with us. You mentioned him. Maybe, Ron, you could share some of your realizations and comments. Is your microphone working, or are you at work? Ron Singh.
Yes, my microphone is working. So I'd like to read some of these quotes that Yashodanandan Prabhu has very nicely presented here.
Okay.
Arjuna was a disciple of Krishna, and Brahma was also a disciple of Krishna. Thus, there is no disagreement between the conclusions of Brahma and Arjuna. Vyasadeva is in the disciplic succession of Brahma. The teachings of Arjuna was recorded by Vyasadeva verbatim. So, according to the axiomatic truth, things equal to one another are equal to each other. We are not exactly directly from Vyasadeva, but our Gurudev is a representative of Vyasadeva. Because Vyasadeva and Arjuna are of equal status, being students of Krishna, therefore, we are in the disciplic succession of Arjuna. Things equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Srila Prabhupada, letter October 31st, 1969. So this is a very simple system of accepting transcendental knowledge from a pure devotee, Uttama Adhikari. And because it's a spiritual bona fide process, anyone who accepts the teachings has an option to accept it or reject it. If they accept the teachings and follow or carry out the order, they're automatically disciples. That is at least my understanding from reading Prabhupada's book. Maybe someone else can comment.
Let's call on Dharma Bhavana. Are you on the call this evening in the Zoom meeting? Dharma Bhavana from Dallas, Texas.
Going to read here.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Is it okay if I read this, or do I have to follow
absolutely.
up on this?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Do
I was thinking back how besides all these really, really important presentations or explanations of what is a parampara or how to be in the disciple succession were most important. But back in the beginning, we were reading from a diary. And somebody asked, why do you read from the diary? Why is that? And before about 6 months ago, I'd never seen such a book. I never knew it existed. So I thought it was interesting. But to me, what it really impresses upon one's mind about how determined Prabhupada was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about the word meticulous, but to me, he was very, very determined. And there's a presentation of Bhagavad Gita. But also, I was thinking how in our Zoom classes, it's really beautiful how devotees all around the world come together, and we can take inspiration from this devotee association. It's really nice. Even I was pretty amazed somebody from Mongolia attends. Now it's the Mongolia, that's way far away. But here's this. This is from chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, the last part of the purport, text 24. Chapter 6, text 24. As for determination, one should follow with the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow lost her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. So yeah, it's just kind of a very inspirational verse. And that's all I have to add today. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Yes, determination. This is one of the qualities of a devotee. Of course, anything in life that you do, you have to be determined. But if the focus is a proper one, to get out of this material world, then that is real success. Everything else is just one big illusion. And people that swirl in the illusion of Maya, they will step up and criticize and fault find others because that's their main business, to promote themselves due to envy. Envy is a very ugly part of the human nature that people possess. We're born into it. Desire, hate, envy. So we have to overcome that. And we do it by working in such a way to please our spiritual master. And we're going to move forward. We're getting close to the end of the talk, but I see that Nilesh Dalal, I'm sorry I don't have your initiated name, Prabhu, but go ahead, give us your comments or questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Very interesting.
It was very interesting to hear both you and Yashodanandan Prabhu today. And my question is always, what bothers me actually, is whenever, and especially in this congregation, in the other congregation in ISKCON, I can understand that because they're all materially motivated. But here, why do we say that we need to go back to Godhead? We need to be serving Srila Prabhupada birth after birth, even if we were to be put in the most miserable conditions. As you said, that we need to take trouble for Krishna. Prabhupada said we must take trouble for Krishna. So what we can wish for is get materially disentangled. We should become materially liberated. But whether we go to the spiritual world or we stay in the material world, let Krishna decide. And Prabhupada says this in Nectar of Devotion, that a devotee never asks anything for himself. It is shameful for him to ask anything for himself. So just like how we congregate over here and we glorify Srila Prabhupada and we ridicule anybody who ridicules Prabhupada. I'm sure each one of us have been ridiculed by ISKCON or somebody in ISKCON on a personal basis, but we don't bring our personal agenda here. We bring only Srila Prabhupada, because somebody who offends our spiritual master, we will take great offense towards that and attack them backwards. But I think we need to focus on getting materially disentangled so that we don't develop the same three creepers along with our Bhakti Lata Beach, of profit, adoration, and distinction, and get involved with even diplomatic talks and say things as it is. So, what are your thoughts, Prabhuji?
Well, we've been serving a lifetime, some of us, in Krishna's service. And our main focus is, as you know, we read the books, we read the verses. Our main focus is that in these classes. It is not there was no one mentioned in our group today. The main thing is to recognize what it means to study and please the pure devotee. That's the goal. And that's what we're talking about. So personally, yes, if you look at the new invitation that we have that's being sent online, you'll see all the details that we're stressing for the membership, because this is not an institutionalized group, Prabhu. Not at all. None of us here are taking the role of some kind of guru. We're taking the role as servants of the servant of the spiritual master. That's our goal. And we hope that you appreciate that, and the members of our group all appreciate it and step up with us and participate in this mission. There is a responsibility to do something. For example, when I bought the Toronto temple for Prabhupada with our group of devotees, we bought the largest temple basically in North America outside of India for Prabhupada. It was within the jurisdiction of, it was a period of 9 years after Prabhupada arrived in America that we were able to purchase a prominent building in the city of Toronto, which is one of the most important cities in the world, just up from the Parliament buildings. Now, Prabhupada was very pleased with that. He came to Toronto and blessed us with that success. He blessed us. He sent us a letter. He said, it's a topmost triumph that you've got this building for Kṛṣṇa. So the idea is that people should know that some devotees have a capacity for service and some people don't. They don't understand, they can't understand because of their own inadequacies. And if they can't understand, just listen and try to follow and work with the devotees in a positive manner to do something. Like how many people are stepping up and saying, I want to do this. Nobody calls. Nobody. We spend our time to call people day and night to try to get them to take up service. Are they? If they don't, it's not going to affect us because we're doing it to please Prabhupada, and that is our goal. Yes, Yashoda, please.
This is a very important point. One has to decide in his life or her life where they want to go spiritually and how they want to make advancement. The path has already been given. The standard has already been established by Prabhupada and the previous Acharya. What Prabhupada has given is a very simplified form, a very complex tradition. I mean, just to study the Sanskrit language, how to pronounce it is not easy. Prabhupada used to often complain that his disciples had difficulty chanting the Sanskrit mantras, and he complained to Pradyumna why they cannot chant properly. One time he called him to his room. He says, trying to train some of you to be Brahmins is like trying to wash coal. And Prabhupada said, do you know what happens when you try to wash coal? You're going to be dirty in the beginning and dirty at the end. You can't wash coal. So the point is, Prabhupada has made things very simple for people to follow. It is not complicated. Just like many times I see during these readings, devotees behind their head, they have beautiful little altars. They have pictures of Prabhupada, pictures of Gaur Nitai, pictures of discipline section. This is wanted. This is what Prabhupada wanted. Take it up, practice, offer your food, read the Bhagavatam, listen to Prabhupada's lecture, listen to Prabhupada chanting japa, associate with the spiritual master by oral reception. That is very important. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. We're at the end of our time, and we'll move forward. Remember, you can go to our channel, Hare Krishna Society YouTube, all nicely arranged by Vinkat Bhatta for Prabhupada's pleasure. I know that. And this way you can take part in the over 200 classes that we've produced so far in our efforts to carry on with the presentation of these 3 scriptures. And along with that, we have different projects that we're doing. Maybe Vinkat Prabhu, you could show the invitation card that you created for us, which is showing people this program and the opportunity for them to join us free of charge and be a part of this association. Do you have that in your diet? Yeah. So here we have the free on, this is a new card that we've produced. And this card, there's 2 sides to it, and you can give that out to your networks, either online or personally, and bring people into this transcendental environment. There's the heart, and then that little box up at the top, you can put in your own personal information, so the people you're cultivating in your area, like myself here in Hamilton, Yashoda knows that, I have over 25 people that I'm cultivating personally in my network and trying to help them become Krishna conscious. So I'm sure all of you have got networks, Dharma Bhavana, Janas Priya in Hawaii, like that, Ron Singh in Sacramento, Nilesh in Miami. You're all developing your programs. And these tools are there to help you to encourage people to take up this process with bona fide disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And we also have book publications in our mind that we're working on. We have a new magazine that we're writing, which will explain about the whole guru system in ISKCON definitively, giving people proper understanding of what happened and how you should see these situations and know how to deal with them properly. So step by step, we're far away from our situation when we were actively involved with the ISKCON movement, but we're doing the best we can, and we encourage everyone to step up with us, and whatever you can do to help. There's always help needed to create all of these multiple programs that we've got developed in our agenda. So thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for your participation. We really appreciate it, even at our elderly ages. And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday and Sunday this week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Bhagavad Gita as it is class and Srimad Bhagavatam class on Sunday. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंदा। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks, Janaspriya from Hawaii, and everybody participating in this class. Very enlivened to see all of you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks, Dr. Nilesh. Thanks, Venkat Bhatta. Thanks, Dr. Roy, Uma from Mongolia, Kavita, everybody. Hare